Have you ever been sitting at a red light watching a brand new truck pull up next to you? Gleaming chrome, massive wheels, the kind of thing that looks like it belongs in a movie, and wondered how on earth the person behind the wheel is affording that. Because statistically, there's a decent chance they make less money than you do. And there's an even better chance that truck is quietly destroying their financial future one monthly payment at a time. My name is Raymond, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, the psychology behind financial decisions, and why so many otherwise smart people keep falling into the exact same traps, generation after generation. If you've ever been tempted by a car payment that felt just barely manageable, or if you're already in one and starting to feel the squeeze, stick with me. Because by the end of this video, you're going to see car payments very differently. And that shift in perspective might be one of the most valuable things that ever happens to your bank account. Let's start with the numbers, because the numbers here are genuinely shocking. The average new car payment in America has now crossed $700 per month. Not for a luxury vehicle, not for some exotic sports car. That's the average. For a regular car bought by a regular person. When you start looking specifically at trucks and SUVs, which have become the default purchase for most American buyers, those payments routinely climb past $900 per month. Payments over $1,200 are not unusual. And these aren't short commitments anymore. We're talking about 6, 7, sometimes 8 years of payments. Do that math, and you're looking at a vehicle that costs you over $80,000 before you've spent a single dollar on insurance, gas, or maintenance. A decade ago, those numbers would have sounded like a punchline. Today, millions of people are signing on the dotted line every single month without blinking. Now, here's the question everyone should be asking, but almost nobody does. How are regular people actually affording this? The honest answer is that most of them aren't. They're surviving it, for now, through a combination of tricks and systems that are specifically designed to make an unaffordable purchase feel manageable in the short term while absolutely devastating your finances over the long term. The first and most powerful tool in this playbook is the extended loan term. There was a time when a car loan was 3 years, maybe 4 if you really stretched. Those days are gone. Today's dealerships routinely offer 6, 7, and 8-year loans. Some lenders are even pushing 10-year car financing, which honestly sounds like a financial horror movie premise. And the reason dealers love extended terms is obvious once you understand the psychology. Spreading a $60,000 truck over 8 years instead of 4 drops the monthly payment dramatically. Suddenly, something that would have cost $1,500 a month on a 4-year loan becomes $900 a month on an 8-year loan. That $900 number feels reasonable, manageable even. And that's exactly the trap. Because here's what the dealer is not putting on the poster in the showroom window. That $900 payment over 8 years adds up to over $86,000. A 4-year loan on the same truck would have cost you around $72,000 total. You just paid an extra $14,000 for the privilege of having a lower monthly number. And it gets worse. By years 5 and 6 of that 8-year loan, the truck's worth a fraction of what you still owe on it. You're trapped in what's called negative equity. You can't sell the truck without writing a check to cover the gap. You can't trade it in without rolling that underwater balance into your next loan. Which brings us to the second major mechanism that keeps this whole machine running. The trade-in cycle is one of the most financially destructive habits in America, and it looks completely normal from the outside. Here's how it works. Someone buys a truck on a 7-year loan. 3 or 4 years in, they're bored, or the new model came out, or life changed. They go back to the dealership. The dealer tells them, great news, we can get you into something new. What they don't say clearly is that you still owe more on your current truck than it's worth. And that negative balance is just getting folded into your shiny new loan. So now you're paying for 2 trucks, the one sitting in their lot and the new one you're driving off in. And the cycle starts again, except now from a worse starting position. The loan balances keep climbing even as you keep making payments. It's a financial hamster wheel where running faster only makes things worse. And the dealership loves you for it because you'll be back in a few years to do it all over again. Then there's the 0% financing offer, which sounds like it should be the exception to all of this. Free money, right? But here's the thing. Those signs in the dealership window are not telling you. When a manufacturer offers 0% financing, the cost of that financing is built into the vehicle price. You're either buying the car at sticker and getting the 0% rate, or you're negotiating a cash discount on the price and paying a market interest rate. You are not getting both, and those 0% deals almost always come with strict credit requirements and shorter loan terms. The people who actually qualify are generally the same people who could afford to pay cash anyway. Everyone else ends up with a rate that reflects their credit history, the length of the loan, and current market conditions, none of which are working in their favor. But what makes this entire system so effective isn't really the math, it's the psychology. The automotive industry has spent decades and billions of dollars embedding a very specific idea into American culture. Your car is who you are. That truck isn't transportation, it's a statement. It says you work hard, you're successful, you're the kind of person who could handle whatever life throws at you. Those commercials showing trucks climbing mountains and hauling impossible loads aren't selling you a vehicle. They're selling you a version of yourself that you want to believe in. And when you buy into the identity, suddenly a $900 monthly payment stops feeling like a financial decision. It starts feeling like an investment in yourself. That's not an accident. That's a masterpiece of marketing engineering designed specifically to make you override your rational judgment. And here's how deep the normalization goes. If someone told you they were spending $1,200 a month on clothing, you'd be concerned. If they were dropping that on coffee, you'd stage an intervention. But when it's a car payment, we just nod and say, well, you need reliable transportation. We have collectively agreed to treat one of the most financially destructive habits in modern personal finance as completely reasonable. And that social permission is exactly what keeps the cycle going, generation after generation. Now let's talk about what this actually costs. Not just the monthly payment, but the full picture that almost nobody calculates before signing the papers. Take someone who buys a $55,000 truck on a 7-year loan at 6% interest. Their monthly payment comes in around $800. That feels manageable. But over 7 years, they pay roughly $67,000 just in principal and interest. Then add insurance. Insuring a $55,000 truck properly with comprehensive coverage, collision, and gap insurance runs around $250 a month on the conservative end. That's another $21,000 over 7 years. Factor in fuel costs for a truck getting 15 miles per gallon in real-world driving, and at current gas prices, you're looking at $350 to $400 a month in fuel. Call it another $29,000. Maintenance and repairs over 7 years on any vehicle add at least $15,000, and that's if nothing goes seriously wrong. Add it all together, and this person spent over $130,000 on transportation over 7 years. At the end of that period, the truck they drove off the lot is worth maybe $15,000. They paid $130,000 for a $15,000 asset. That is not a car purchase. That is wealth destruction with heated seats and a backup camera. And the opportunity cost of that decision is what really makes your stomach drop. Take that same $800 monthly payment, and instead of sending it to a lender, put it into a simple index fund earning 8% annually. After 7 years, you have over $70,000. You built real, liquid, growing wealth instead of watching money evaporate into a depreciating machine. The difference between those two paths isn't a matter of income or luck or being born into the right family. It's a single decision about what you do with $800 every month. Here's another layer of this trap that people never see coming until it's too late. The hidden costs show up exactly when you're least prepared for them. Modern trucks and SUVs are mechanically complex. A brake job can run $800 to $1,200. Transmission. Work starts at $5,000 and goes up from there. Major engine issues can exceed $10,000. The people most likely to be in this situation are also the people least likely to have an emergency fund because every available dollar is already committed to the car payment. So when something breaks, and something always breaks, it goes on a credit card. Now you've got the car payment, the credit card interest on the repair, the insurance, and the fuel. The thing that was supposed to be a manageable $800 a month has quietly become the organizing force of your entire financial life. You are working for your car. Your car is not working for you. And then there are the families running multiple car payments simultaneously, which has become shockingly common. The average American household owns more cars than it has licensed drivers. 2 car payments, sometimes 3. Dad's truck, mom's SUV, maybe something for the teenager. Combined monthly obligations that rival what most people pay for housing. These households have essentially built a private auto financing empire, except the empire only loses money. The inventory becomes worthless over time, and there's no exit strategy. They celebrate paying one vehicle off while signing paperwork for 2 new ones. They measure financial progress by their ability to keep all the monthly payments current. never stopping to question whether the whole arrangement makes any sense. What makes this psychological trap so hard to escape once you're in it is something that can only be described as automotive Stockholm syndrome. The truck stops being a vehicle and becomes an identity, an extension of your personality, your work ethic, your status. The idea of trading it in for a reliable used car doesn't feel like a practical financial strategy. It feels like surrender, like admitting you failed, like accepting a lower rank in some invisible social hierarchy. When someone suggests that a 5-year-old Honda Civic could get them to work just as reliably, they don't hear financial advice. They hear an attack on who they are. And they'll defend that truck payment with more passion than they bring to almost any other area of their financial life. The dealership system is specifically engineered to meet you at exactly that emotional level. They don't walk you through total cost of ownership. They don't show you a 20-year projection of what this payment does to your retirement account. They focus on the monthly number, the feeling of sitting in that new cabin, the smell of the leather, the look on your face when you picture yourself pulling into work on Monday. The sales process has been refined over decades to neutralize every rational objection a buyer brings in and replace it with an emotional response. Payment too high. Will extend the term, worried about reliability, finance and extended warranty, concerned about depreciation. You'll probably want to trade up in a few years anyway. They have an answer for everything, and none of those answers are designed to protect your financial future. So what does getting out of this trap actually look like? The first step is changing the question you ask when buying a vehicle. Most people walk into a dealership asking what they can afford in monthly payments. The right question is, what is this vehicle actually going to cost me over its lifetime? And what else could that money do? That $30,000 car isn't $30,000. It's the $30,000 plus the interest on the loan, plus the premium insurance, plus the higher maintenance costs, minus the depreciation, plus the opportunity cost of what that money could have become if invested instead. Run that full calculation and the sticker price becomes almost irrelevant compared to the real number. The second shift is learning to see a reliable used car not as a compromise, but as a strategic choice. The person driving a 4-year-old Camry they paid cash for isn't losing. They're winning in a way that the person in the gleaming new truck next to them will probably never fully understand. No payment, lower insurance, depreciation already absorbed by someone else, an extra $800 or $900 or $1,200 every month that can go into investments, emergency savings, retirement accounts, a house down payment. The boring car is funding a quietly extraordinary financial life. The third shift is internalizing the real opportunity cost over time. A car payment of $800 a month, maintained over a working lifetime of, say, 30 years of always having some car payment, is not just the payments themselves, it's everything those payments could have compounded into. The math on this is almost too large to feel real, but it's accurate. Most people will spend more money on vehicles over their lifetime than it would take to achieve genuine financial independence. They'll arrive at retirement having spent a fortune to get from one place to another, with nothing to show for it but a series of vehicles that are now worth nothing. None of this means you can never buy a nice car or enjoy what you drive. But there's a profound difference between making a deliberate, fully informed decision about transportation and sleepwalking into a payment you'll be stretched by for 7 years because a dealership made the monthly number sound reasonable. The first approach keeps you in control of your financial life. The second hands that control to a lender and a depreciation schedule. The next time you find yourself behind one of those gleaming trucks at a red light, don't feel envious. Feel informed, because the odds are genuinely good that the person behind that wheel is stressed in ways you can't see, stretched in ways they didn't fully anticipate, and locked into a cycle that's going to be very difficult to break. The reliable used car sitting in your driveway isn't a consolation prize. It might just be one of the smartest financial decisions you've ever made. And if you haven't made it yet, it's never too late to start.